Picture this. It's a Tuesday morning in Washington, D.C., and Donald Trump just filed a $250 million lawsuit against Denzel Washington. Not the actor, Congressman Denzel Washington. Trump standing at his marble podium at Mar-a-Lago, cameras flashing like lightning, claiming Denzel told the world a lie about a daughter who doesn't exist. But here's the thing about lies. Sometimes they're just truths that powerful people pay millions to bury. What Trump didn't know was that Denzel had been waiting for this moment. You see, 3 years earlier, a letter had arrived at Denzel's office. No return address, just a few lines written in shaky handwriting. I know you don't know me, but I know him. I've known him my whole life, even if he never once said my name. I'm his daughter. The letter was signed Tiana Meredith, 25 years old, and she had proof. While Trump was ranting to the press about defamation, Denzel was sitting in a secure briefing room with documents that would change everything. A DNA test showing 99.94% probability of paternity. Wire transfers totaling $4.2 million from a Trump shell company to silence a woman in Georgia. And an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, witnessed and signed by none other than Melania Trump herself. But the real bombshell? Denzel had convinced Tiana to testify before Congress. When those oversight chamber doors opened and Tiana Meredith walked in, you could hear a pin drop, black blazer, head held high. Carrying 25 years of silence, she was finally ready to break. Trump was there too, of course. He took one look at her and muttered, "That's not her. That's not anyone." But Denzel Washington wasn't having it. Standing calmly at his podium, he opened that red folder and began reading. DNA results, payment records, the original NDA with Melania's signature. Every document a nail in the coffin of Trump's denial. And then came the photo. Denzel walked the projector and displayed an image that made the entire room gasp. There was Trump, tie loosened, leaning against a marble bar at Mar-a-Lago. Beside him stood a 10-year-old girl with curly hair and wide eyes. His hand rested casually on her back, a moment too intimate to be denied, too real to be fake. Trump jumped up, shouting, "That's Photoshop. That could be anyone." But Denzel simply flipped the photo over and read the handwriting on the back. "To my friend's daughter, stay strong. DJT." The silence that followed wasn't just stunned. It was verdict-shaped. Then came Marta Rowdy, former stylist of the First Lady. She testified about a day in 2020 when she found Melania crying over a small jewelry box. Inside was a child's gold bracelet, custom engraved with devastating words. "For the girl you'll never know. Forgive us." The bracelet was meant for Tiana. Melania's secret apology for a silence she helped enforce. Through it all, Tiana sat in that witness chair like it had always belonged to her. When she finally spoke, her words cut through decades of buried truth. "I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because I've had to listen to this man lie about who he is while I wasn't even allowed to say my own name." She turned to look directly at Trump, her voice steady. "He didn't just abandon me. He sued the only woman who ever stood up for me." That sentence, "he sued the only woman who stood up for me," went viral within minutes. It became the quote that defined the entire hearing. But Denzel wasn't done. In his closing statement, he stood without notes, his voice low and controlled like steel being drawn. This hearing was never just about a child. It's about power. The kind of power that rewrites history, seals truth behind marble gates, and builds kingdoms not to lead, but to erase anyone who threatens the illusion of control. He looked directly at Trump. "You paid to make her disappear. You signed documents to bury her name. Well, I asked a question you never wanted anyone to ask. Whose child is this?" Then came the knockout punch. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett stood with a cream-colored document. Tiana's amended birth certificate from the Georgia Department of Health. In the paternal field, clear as day, Donald John Trump. "This is not an accusation," Crockett announced. "This is legal truth, recorded, stamped, irreversible." Trump's response was swift and brutal. His team filed a 96-page emergency injunction demanding all hearing footage be suppressed and all records erased. They called it preservation of national dignity. But it was too late. The truth was out, and it was spreading. Tiana received hundreds of death threats. Her address was doxxed. People called her gold-digging filth and told her she should have stayed invisible. But instead of hiding, she stood on the Capitol steps with Denzel and said, "He tried to make sure I never had a name. Now he wants to sue the only person who ever said my name out loud. If the price of existing is this, then I'll pay it again and again." Within hours, the Department of Justice announced a formal investigation into campaign finance violations, perjury, and misuse of federal funds. The man who once bragged about dodging indictments was now under federal scrutiny for erasing his own daughter. Hashtags exploded across social media. Hashtag Ayana, hashtag Truth on Record. Town halls overflowed with people sharing their own buried stories. The movement had become unstoppable. Weeks later, Tiana's law passed in committee, a bill ending non-disclosure agreements in paternity cases for public officials. "They can't pretend anymore," she said simply. At her mother's grave, Tiana left a rose and whispered, "They know now, and they can't unknow me." In the federal archives, the sealed drawer marked Meredith versus Trump now holds all the evidence, the NDA, the bracelet, the photo, the proof. But it also holds one final handwritten note. You almost erased her, but she made history instead. So here's what I want you to think about as we end this story. Tiana Meredith spent 25 years as a secret, a name that couldn't be spoken, a daughter who officially didn't exist. One man with unlimited power tried to erase her completely, but she didn't disappear. She waited. She gathered her strength. And when the moment came, she walked in the most powerful room in America and simply said, "I exist." Sometimes the most revolutionary act isn't fighting back. It's refusing to stay invisible. The question is, if your voice could help someone invisible be seen, would you speak? Because somewhere right now, there's another Tiana waiting for someone brave enough to say their name out loud. What are you going to do about it?